Okay, there. I hit the record button. Okay, cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to get going in the synchronous session here, and I just actually I have to bring up a presentation. Give me a second here, and keynote. There we go. There we go. We're ready to go. So we are going to explore video today. We're going to take a look at the power of video. Hopefully you folks have had an opportunity to take a peek at my promo video, and you should be curious about triboluminescence. Am I going to be talking about triboluminescence? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We shall see. But wasn't that a cool video? The gun shooting the lifesaver. That is so cool. The spark. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing the stuff you find on YouTube, right? There is a reason why I'm rattling on about that YouTube, and part of the reason is that I'm going to share a bit of some information with you about YouTube here this morning or this afternoon, and I just want to make sure that I am on the right track. And one more, there we go. You can't, there we go. I'm ready to go. So I'm about to share my slides. Here's a little warning. When you share your slides, if you have an embedded video, which I do, I've got a couple of embedded videos. If you have embedded videos, make sure you check off the share computer sound and optimize the share for the clip, right? Because if you don't do that, then you're going to miss out on the sharing. Now, can everybody sort of see my Keynote desktop? A little bit? I just going to have to stop the share. Give me a second here. Well, here we go. Well, Jerry's late. Let's not bug him too much. Just a little bit.
Oh.
Okay. And Talissa, I'm going to give you presenter rights as well.
Yep.
So that way I can. I'm going to. I can't do that. Oh well, we'll make it work. Okay, let me get going again. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and when I do that, if you've got a Keynote or a PowerPoint, you have to hit the play. It'll go into the full screen, so you should be able to see where I'm at now. Just a little bit of a tip. Sometimes you can lose track of your mouse and you can't see where your mouse is. Your escape key is your emergency key that will get you out of your presentation when you're in Zoom. Because right now I'm moving my mouse from my desktop and I can't see it. So I know I'm going to have to hit the escape key. Just a little bit of warning. So, okay, power video. Question. Can a picture say more than 1,000 words? I don't know. We shall see. Okay, I have a challenge for everybody. I'm going to break you into groups. You've got a big charity event. Jerry spent some money. He ordered in 1,000 T-shirts, and you've got a major outreach in your area, and you're promoting the community college. You're promoting your programs, and you're giving away T-shirts. But you want to set up a really nice display of the T-shirts. And Jerry's a bit of a frugal guy, so he bought a box of 1,000 T-shirts. But you folks have to fold them. Now, fortunately, you got a whole bunch of volunteers. You got a whole bunch of volunteers, 20, 30 students who are going to help you fold the T-shirts. So how would you consistently and repeatedly fold your shirt as quickly as possible? How would you do this? Okay, and then how would you teach others? So I'm going to break you into breakout rooms to do this. And I want you to come up with a plan for folding the T-shirts. And then I also want you to tell me how you're going to teach others. Now, here's a key thing. You can use any resources you want, anything at all, okay? Any resources you want. There's no budget on this, okay? So go, talk about this, come up with a plan. I'm gonna break you into groups of, let's see, 4, maybe 15 folks. Let's go with 4 rooms. There we go. I'll give you about 2 minutes. Talk. Right, I'm not recording, but let's go. Let's get this going. Let's grab my.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you notice that pattern, then it's definitely something not to do with Zoom. You know, whenever you are running your synchronous session, so that's good.
Today,
Here we go.
I'm going to show you how to fold a shirt in under 2 seconds. Start by taking a short sleeve shirt and lying it out on its back. Then we need to draw an imaginary line halfway between the top and the bottom of the shirt, roughly here, and another one halfway between the centre line of the shirt and the outside edge, about here. We'll call the point where the lines cross A, the top point B, and the bottom point C. Start by pinching the shirt at point A with your left hand, pick up point B with your right hand, then cross your right hand over to pick up point C. Next, quickly unfold your arms, and finally use the table to fold the shirt back on itself. This method works with any short sleeve top, from t-shirts, polo tops and shirts, and with a bit of practice can be done very quickly. If you like this video, maybe you'd like...
All right, interesting. So where we're going today is we're going to be looking at how we're going to use media resources like video and audio to enhance the learning environment. Now, before we go there, I just want to double check with everybody. Was everybody able to see that video?
Yes.
Okay, so question. The group that wanted to create the video, why didn't you just go to YouTube and grab a video from there? Just curious, just
because
curious.
I want it done a certain way.
It's got to be my way. Okay.
Try to make it the easiest way possible.
Yeah, that is true. We could have already went and found. There's probably a video on YouTube that shows how to use the folding board.
Yeah, the reason I asked that is I've done this over the years, and I've worked with some youth groups, and or with some kids, junior high. Just if you do this with middle school kids, it's a blast, because as soon as you give them the task, I mean, as soon as you say go, there's going to be within 10 seconds, you're going to have some kid in your face going, "It's right here. It's on my phone. Here's the solution. What's next?" Right? It's amazing that kids are using YouTube in that way, right? So it's pretty cool. Okay, so let's keep on going. I'm going to jump back into sharing the screen here, and I'm going to share my keynote presentation with you one more time. Let's see if I can get this working properly. And so I talked to you about the outcome where we're going now. Oh, Talissa, do we have somebody trying to get in? I'm going to stop.
No, not that I see. Not that I see anymore.
Yeah. Can I say something? I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yeah.
I guess Allie was supposed to come in, but she is in the waiting room.
Yeah, and that's somebody got bumped off. Yeah, I heard a beep. Okay, Talissa, you and I have to figure out how we're going to share the hosting resources here so you can let people in so that I'm not, right? Because this has happened before, right? Somebody was in a waiting room. I had to stop. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, listen, this is an example of what might happen in your synchronous session.
That's exactly right.
No, people can get dropped. You have to let people in. You're switching back from a presentation to, it's just part of the process, right?
Yep.
And cool. Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay. So I got a quick question to ask you folks. What is the most popular search engine for kids or young people, 18 years of age and under in North America? The most popular search engine in North America for 18-year-olds and younger.
Google.
Google? Okay.
Maybe YouTube?
YouTube. Okay. Anybody want to vote? YouTube, Google? Okay, I won't hold you in suspense. Yeah, it's YouTube. Some of you are going, "Oh, Harapnik, hang on there. YouTube's not a search engine." If you use something to search for information, wouldn't that be a search engine? Interesting. Okay. So next question. What is the second most popular search engine in North America for everybody? The second most popular. Okay, so I'll make it easier. Let's assume Google is the most popular, because it is. We all know that. But what's the second most popular search engine in North America? Go ahead.
Pinterest. I was thinking Facebook.
Facebook, Pinterest.
Reddit.
So, Reddit. Okay. So
YouTube
remember.
Again?
Sorry.
YouTube
Twitter.
again.
YouTube again. Yeah, YouTube. It is. Yeah, I know some people are going, what? How can that be? It's not a search engine. If you were to take a look at the demographics of YouTube, it's kind of a gender thing too, because most guys spend a lot of time on YouTube. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So video is not just something that only appeals to the guys or those who are looking for information. Video, some could argue, appeals to us as human beings. Consider this.
What am I going to do for this book? The brain science community is certainly not clueless about how the brain works, and it is on the basis of that that I decided that I would write. We know, for example, about the brain's evolutionary performance envelope. The brain appears to have been designed to solve problems related to surviving in an unstable outdoor environment, and to do so in near constant motion. I'll say that again. The brain appears to have been designed to solve problems related to surviving in an unstable outdoor environment, and to do so in near constant motion. So it hit me. If you wanted to design a learning environment that was directly opposed to what the brain was really good at doing, you would design something, and you were interested in education, you would design something like a modern classroom. If you were interested in designing a learning environment in a business setting that was directly opposed to what the brain was good at doing, you would design something like a cubicle. And if you were interested in re-engineering learning environments to take advantage of our more modern understanding of how the brain actually processes information, whatever that is, the first horse out of the dock is you're going to have to tear down a few things and you're going to have to start over. And in starting over,
Interesting. Interesting. We've been evolved or designed to be in near constant motion, observing the world around us. So a lot of people would argue that video appeals to us because of the way that we have evolved or have been designed. Interesting. Interesting. So it isn't just a guy thing, guys looking for answers on YouTube. Now, I've got a question though. Before we go a little bit further, I want to just challenge a few folks on something. I'm going to stop the sharing for just a minute. So I'm making the argument, video is amazing, it's powerful, but is it enough? Is it enough? We've got some heads shaking no. Okay. And why? Why isn't it enough? For those who are shaking their heads, no.
I would think because some people learn with like actually doing the task to retain it.
Okay, so you've got hands-on components, some doing, so video is part of it. Okay, good, good. Other thoughts? Video is powerful, but what else do you need? What else do you need?
I would argue that with video, how good it is, you, the viewer, are sitting passively receiving information, whereas when you are reading, you're more active. You need to engage actively as well. You need to complement that.
Okay, so engage actively, complement that. Now, excellent, excellent. Let me ask a question for those who do use YouTube a lot. How many videos do you have to watch to find an answer?
A lot.
Yeah, 10, 15, 20. Isn't that kind of the frustrating thing? Because everybody can make a video and put it up on YouTube, there's some really crappy how-tos. There really are. And most videos are missing some key component. I know regularly. How do you solve that problem? Let me share something with you. I think I've set something up. So for those of you who know me a little bit, you know that my boys are professional athletes. And as my boys were growing up, they raced downhill mountain bikes. As they were growing up, because mountain bikes are so expensive and taking a bike into the shop all the time was very, very costly, I taught my boys how to service their bikes. Because when you're racing every weekend, you're destroying these, $1,000 machines. Actually, now both my boys, their downhill bikes are around 15,000. Their enduro bikes are around 12,000. It's a ridiculous amount of money. And brakes can be $500-600. Brakes and tires are more expensive than on some cars, right? Anyway, so my boys had to figure out how to fix their bikes on a regular basis, not just when we got back from the races, but when we're on the track, when we're at the races, because you go to a race on a Friday, you train Friday, Saturday, you race Sunday, there's a lot of repairs that have to be made. So we found that there was this amazing site called Pink Bike, and on this amazing site called Pink Bike, they had a special section called Techie Tuesdays, and this was a godsend. You know why? They combine video with text and pictures. Oh, it was amazing. They combined the video. You watched the video overview, then you read the instructions with the text, and you had the pictures. It was amazing. It couldn't have gotten any better, right? So they went through the step-by-step instructions and they explained how things were done. It became an amazing, wonderful tool, and it was done by professionals. It was just absolutely phenomenal. We didn't have to keep on hunting around. So what we found very quickly is that if you could find a site that combined all forms of media with a wonderful explanation, it made a world of difference. Okay. So just want to recap here. Video, powerful, right? What are some of the advantages of video? What are your thoughts?
Some people are visual learners, so they can see it.
And you can repeat as much as possible.
Ah, there you go. Repeat as much as possible. Yeah, yeah. And have I sort of made the case for how it can enhance learning? But it isn't just video, it's media, pictures, media meaning text. Do you see how, if you combine all those things, can you see how this will make it easier for your audience, your learner to learn? Does that make sense? Does it follow? Cool. Okay, so just to summarize, the advantages, deeper communication. I forgot to mention it's mobile, right? All the time, everywhere, right? When we're at the racetrack or at the mountains, you can look at it on your screen. YouTube, anybody can create stuff, 21st century tool. It's amazing stuff, right? It's amazing stuff. So this is the part of my presentation where I would enter into questions and we'd keep on talking about. So this is an example of what you might want to do for your synchronous session. Okay, so I shared an idea with you, I shared some insights, I made an argument, I presented some stuff, I had you talk, I had some engagement. So, and now this is a point in your session where you would say, so how can I improve what I did? I need your feedback. Or if you want, you can ask me questions about what I did. So we'll turn it over to you now. Questions, concerns, comments?
Okay, I'll ask a question. Do you have a framework that you're using to deliver your session?
Yep. Yep. So I use a framework. It's referred to as the BOPS model. I have a bridge-in activity, something to catch your attention. And I explained this in my asynchronous session where I go into great details. I've got a video and I explain the steps. So the whole t-shirt thing, the bridge-in activities was the t-shirt, and then the t-shirt video was a hook, right? So to get you thinking about video. I then talk about the outcome. So I bridge in, I give you an outcome, and then I ask you some questions. So I've got a pre-assessment to see where everybody's at. What's your thinking about YouTube? Then I go into the participation section where I show stuff. I get you to talk a little bit, get some question and answer. And then I do a post assessment where I ask you about how stuff worked, and then I summarize. So it's called the BOPS model. So this session followed something called the BOPS model: bridge in, outcome, pre-test, participation, post-test, summary. It's sort of a presentation model. Another way to look at it: beginning, middle, and end. So that's the format I used. Now, you don't have to necessarily do this in your sessions, but if you have some form of a structure, it will prevent you from just talking for the whole 10, 15 minutes. Did I answer your question? Sorry, go ahead.
Jerry, did that answer your question? I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I would follow that up actually with are there other frameworks that might work for different applications or different subject matters, or is this kind of a universal type of thing?
Well, I also refer to a second model, which is the beginning, middle, and end. There's an old model which I used to use, which was the hook, the book, and the took, in the sense that you hook somebody with an idea, you have them look at some ideas, you make a reference to some resources of the book, and then you give them a takeaway so they can apply it, right? So there's a lot of these ideas, but most of them sort of follow, there's some way that you start, you gain attention, you engage in the middle, and then you summarize at the end. So the beginning, middle, and end. There's a card model. You know, there's about 3 or 4. I think I have pointed to some of those models in the resources section. Yeah, I don't know if it has a name, but I just refer to the beginning, middle, and end. So,
You know, if I can just add to that, one of the most important things I've learned in online learning, having done this for years and years now, is I take the pulse of what's happening in the class. I really like to see, are people engaging? Are they, like all the interaction that we did in the last 20 minutes in that example? I look to see, if I'm talking and people start kind of putting the heads down a little bit, kind of wandering off to the side or sitting there too long, I know I need to scale that back a bit. So I tend to, and this is what I do, just kind of throwing an example out there, a lot of my resources are built in asynchronously, just like yours are in Moodle for this PL. And then when we come together each week, we talk a bit about some of what they're looking to do and how they're planning to do it, real, authentic, genuine conversations. And then I break everyone off into groups, just like we did online blended learning. We kind of broke it off and discussed some things, come back together. So I really gauge the pulse of the class. If people are bored, better back off. One thing you don't want to do is stand there with your book. Okay, this is just an APA book here, but stand there with your book, and on page 73, you should take. One of the things you'll want to do if you're going to bring up something like that, you may say, hey, everybody, take a look at page 73. We're going to have a conversation around this paragraph or this quote, drop you into groups, come back in and discuss it and share it. So I find my time synchronously getting to know my learners and building those relationships almost more important than some of the content I'm trying to just shove at them, right? They're going to get that. If they're engaged, like I think, who was it? Christoph, maybe somebody said, video, engagement, reading, all of those things. It really depends. Am I thinking carefully and curating the things that I'm sharing with them so that it will pull them in? A lot of you, I watched all of the welcome videos. Great job, by the way, to everybody who's posting and jumping out there and going after it. And a lot of you I see have, teach English language classes at certain levels. I saw 0, 1, 2, 3, and I'm not sure what all that means. You do, I'm sure. But I think one of the best ways to get some of your folks to get involved with learning the language and learning what they're learning about is that learning by doing, is immersing them, having these conversations, slowing things down a bit and going at their pace. And that's okay. Everything doesn't have to be, done in one session and rushed, right? Just kind of incrementally take the pulse of your class. You can kind of tell if they're engaged or not, and try different things. I'll do flip grids and have folks respond and reflect on a flip grid. There's a variety of different things you can do. You have to make it work, number one, for you and your learners. Your learners, most important, right? So just know that there's no one way to do it. We follow a model because it helps us articulate and share, but that's just that's our way of doing it. Doesn't mean it's yours. I'm sure Jerry may have some input in on that, but I want you to know this is open. Make this work for your classes and your people and what you're doing. Make sense? All righty. That was long-winded. I'm sorry. What other questions do you guys have?
Let me prompt something. What questions do you have about your synchronous sessions? What questions do you have about how you're going to do this? Is there any way that we can help you? We've given you an example. You were in a synchronous session with us last week. You're in this one here. What questions do you have about what you need to do moving forward to experiment, to explore?
Well, can I ask you, I guess I'm just planning to, like tomorrow, I'll do an activity where we're going to read a nonfiction article, and I have a series of questions on that article at the end. And I'm going to put students into breakout rooms, just same thing as we do here, for example. And then they're going to work together to find the answers. And then when we return as the main group, each group is going to, I'll call at random and say, hey, group 3, what did you get for question number 2? And then they can tell me.
Wonderful example of doing this in the real world. So, and you're combining sort of some of the resources that you have to have the students explore. And if I can add something to this, what I often do is, and you were exposed to this before we met last week, I asked you to go onto the course site, read a few things, watch a few videos. So I had you look at my asynchronous resources. You were prepared, and when you came to the session, the synchronous session, we could go deeper. So what you might want to do, Christoph, is maybe even point them to an article that you want them to read, and so when they come to class, you don't have to spend the valuable time in class maybe going over that. Everybody has done that, they've got it with them, and then when they go into the breakout rooms, it can be even more efficient. So yeah. Now, this is really important because I think what Christoph pointed to, and this usually comes up in our professional learning environment here. The question is, well, Dwayne, which one do you do first? Can you do the synchronous first or the asynchronous first? It doesn't matter. I like to combine the two together, and I often will point to an asynchronous resource so that when we do come together, we can go deeper. And so I'm taking advantage of your time. This is something that, so I'm using the language of asynchronous and synchronous collaboration. What Talissa and I used to refer to this as online blended learning. So we get students to look at stuff first, and then we come together and go deeper, right? Because when you're doing this part, it is all about the relationship. It's all about the engagement. It's all about the people, right? So you don't want to spend your valuable time lecturing. You want to spend the valuable time asking questions, responding to questions, inspiring. Other thoughts, other questions about what you need to do or what you might want to experiment with?
I think that the intro video that you did with YouTube with the question initially was really engaging because we all thought we had our own ways of how to do it quicker. I didn't think about a YouTube video. I mean, I did, but it's after you brought it up, I was like, oh wow, that's really, that's a really good way to learn how to fold a shirt in 2 seconds. And I'm thinking buy something on Amazon when it's really right there in front of you that you look at every day. You don't realize that. So that was really intriguing, engaging.
So, Edric, thank you. When you say that, my reaction is, yes, my work here is done. Because you realize that, I don't always have to invent the wheel. Maybe I can go out there and see what's on YouTube, right? So in your response, you're telling me that I inspired you to take a look at YouTube in a slightly different way, not just a way to figure out how to fix your washing machine. The reason I mentioned that is because I was working on a washing machine yesterday. The stupid thing died on us, and I was on YouTube trying to figure out how to fix it. Didn't help. But last week, YouTube helped me fix my carburetor. It saved me from having to spend $150 on a new carburetor. I found out where the reset button was, and I found there was a little Allen key where I could move it. So, but anyways, Edric, yeah, what you're mentioning there is a key thing. My goal in these synchronous sessions is really, if I can just get them to appreciate the power of YouTube and then use YouTube plus other media resources, I've got you, right? So you've told me that I've got you, half the way there. So thanks.
Just to add to that, I heard a little bit of that delusional optimist come out in that last comment. That if I can just get to, he's got the magic fingers. But another thing, Edric, just on what you shared, is that may not have come out the way that it did if you all weren't involved and engaged in the conversation. If Dwayne was just talking at you, and then he asked you, well, what are the 3 ways that you could find information about how to fold a video? You probably heard one of those things out of the 3. But because Rhoda spoke up and Christoph spoke up and several others spoke up, when you are able to kind of talk to people, get their ideas that would not have come out any other way. Like, we wouldn't be having this conversation here if we didn't have this opportunity to spend time together online. So that's what we're talking about, is that relationship building and engagement factor, a big piece. And I think that sometimes, and this is a big lament I hear from districts and teachers, oh man, you know, my kids were sitting online, and we talked a little bit about this last week, 7-8 hours, and my kids are not engaged, they're not paying attention, they're distracted by everything else around them. And my thought is, you can get them engaged by having conversations and talk with them, talk with them, not to them. Get them working, you know, on something collaboratively where they almost have to be engaged, so that they know the next time when I come into the session, I better prepare. I'm going to be dropped into a breakout session, asked to lead, and I don't know what I'm doing. You know, so there's ways to kind of shift it a little bit to kind of give your online learner, or your learner who face-to-face, online, doesn't matter, ownership of that. And when you do that, they start making choices, and they feel they have a voice, and things start coming out authentically. So other comments, other questions that you have about the work and the ideas that you're going to be doing? I don't know, maybe you've thought ahead and you have an idea and you want to throw it out there.
I've got a couple questions. Okay, so for someone like Christoph, who is thinking about using his authentic environment, which is fantastic, should they be inviting other group members to that session, or should that be recorded and shared out? What do you think is the best way to do that? And then second question would be, for the folks who are not teachers, what type of thing might they want to look into doing for their synchronous session?
Okay, I can address those two very quickly. These come up all the time, and I've been doing this for quite a while now. So with Christoph's session, if you can apply this to your real environment, maybe invite a few people to monitor what you're doing. Now, the only challenge you face with that is that can change the dynamic of your class. And so you have to be really careful in doing that. And you, if it isn't going to be a big deal, maybe invite a few people to monitor what's going on, and you know, that might work. If it's going to change the dynamic of the class, well, maybe do a recording and then share out with folks how it went, and maybe in the discussion area in the forum, say, this is what I'm planning to do. Maybe do a run through, have a few folks jump in, and you can do a run through on a session. You might want to test out new ideas. So to answer your question, Jerry, it could be either or combination. It doesn't really matter. You know, I'm not really, I don't have to validate every single thing that you do, but just as long as you use this time to explore, to experiment, to get input, and to get some feedback from your colleagues, you know, that can be useful. So there's a variety of ways that can happen. Now, for those people who aren't working in the classroom, oh, listen, there's so many things that can happen. I've been doing this for a while, and did you know that if you have a really rich Greek yogurt, and if you use a flavored balsamic vinegar, you have an appetizer. If you take a couple teaspoons of of this really wonderful vanilla flavored yogurt, and if you use like a strawberry balsamic vinegar or something like that, it's amazing, right? I learned that in one of the sessions. So my point is that if you have a passion, if you have an interest, you know, I also learned about the best way to do brisket in a session. I also learned about the zombie apocalypse, what to do in a zombie apocalypse. So if you're not currently in a teaching, what you might want to do is focus on a hobby, an interest, a passion. Oh, I also learned the most amazing things about, what do you call those little things, those little helicopters? What are they called that you?
Drones?
Drones, yes. Oh, I had a guy do a session on drones, right? Oh, I had another person do a session on, a gal did a session on how do you pick the right knife. I'm about to spend a bunch of money on a kitchen knife, right? So it's just amazing, like the diversity of interests that people have. And so one of the advantages, if you've got a passion or hobby and interest, if you focus on that passion, you'll forget about the structure, and you'll just invite people into your world, and it'll come even more natural, right? And so it's quite helpful. So to answer your question about that, Jerry, and for those folks who aren't necessarily teaching, maybe experiment with this in an area that you're interested in and then see how that works. That's another way that you can do this. But regardless, you want to share with people, bring people into your world, share what you're doing, help them, get them to help you see ways to improve. Right. And actually, here's an example. Felicity and I were talking at the very beginning about what can we do here to limit the issue with the waiting room. And then somebody commented in the chat area, well, just disable the waiting room. Yeah, I know. Anyway, so I'm always looking to improve, right? When you've got people collaborating with you, it's all about improving. Did I answer your question? Does that help, Jerry?
Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, and to add to that, again, we're not here to get in your way. We are not here to tell you exactly what or how to do it, what you're doing, because we are not doing what you are doing. You know your classes, you know your situation, you know the best way to do what you've been doing, and you're learning the best way to do those things. And you'll learn those again by experimenting, testing out your ideas, and retesting those, making mistakes, failing forward, those kinds of things. And we encourage you to post your ideas in the forum and share with each other as you did in your welcome videos. We watch those too. We look at all of those too. But again, we don't invite ourselves into that. We want to be here as a crutch, a help, assistant, but again, we don't want to get in your way, and we don't want to be seen as the authoritative figures, because what we're trying to do is model this notion of collaboration, stepping back a little bit, giving you freedom to learn and learn by doing, that kind of thinking. That's our angle. Does that make sense? All right.
Well, listen, I want to respect your times. It's 4:45 Pacific time, and so I said we're 40 to 45 minutes, and so I want to wrap up the recording. If somebody wants to hang around after and ask questions, I can do that. I'm okay for a few minutes. I can loiter after, but I want to wrap up the session. And so explore, experiment, have some fun, and there is. Let us know if we can help you in any way, shape, or form. If you're not sure about what you want to do, maybe shoot me an email, bounce an idea off me. Let's have a quick chat, Zoom session. Our goal is to help you be successful, because we want to help you to change your learning environment for your learners, whether you're in the classroom or you're working in a support role. We want to help you to take advantage of the fact that we live in the most amazing time to be a learner, and the stuff that we can do online can be so powerful if we just learn how to control a few little things here and there. So I just want to encourage everybody to have some fun with this. And I love seeing what you're going to come up with. This is a fascinating portion for me. I get to learn so much.
Control, but also let go of a little control. A balance.
Well, I'm going to turn off the